Oklahoma's got a lot of commitments over the last week and so on the 2022 class. They've actually had 5 over the last week or so. So starting right around the July 4th time frame. So July 3rd, Jacob Sexton, who is an offensive tackle here locally out of Oklahoma, number five player in the state from Deer Creek High School in Edmond, Oklahoma. A 4-star guy who picked Oklahoma over Texas A&M, and Oklahoma State. So, we've talked a lot about the in-state recruiting. So this is a big kid for Oklahoma to get. Then July 4th, Oklahoma actually got 3 commitments on the 4th. So the first one, so let me talk first about Derek Moore. Derek Moore is a 4-star defensive lineman, really projects to be more probably a defensive end at Oklahoma over out of Baltimore, Maryland. 4-star guy, top 100 overall kid, top 15 defensive lineman in the country. So he was really a good get in Big Ten country. He Oklahoma actually beat Penn State and Ohio State for his services, which was good. And then the other 2 are another area of, I wouldn't, not that I'm going to say contention, but area of conversation amongst local. I think everybody looks at stars, and I think when these 2 kids committed to Oklahoma, there was some concern, maybe eyebrow raising about, because 2 of these kids are 3-star kids. So Xavier Bryce was a kid. He's a 6'2", 190. So I think he's more of a build. So I think people want to make sure that they understand Alex Grinch is looking for a type from a defensive back perspective. He is an athlete guy, type of player, played wide receiver and defensive back. He's a guy that at that size, that's what Grinch is looking for. So if it really kind of fits in the 3-star guy or a 5-star guy, that's who Grinch is looking for. So he's a guy that's, really kind of came on from a camp perspective this year and ultimately committed to Oklahoma, very recently. And I think there's some concern because when you think about, he was originally committed to Kansas. So when you look at, okay, why is Oklahoma going after a guy that was committed to Kansas? Well, the thing is, he decommitted from Kansas in June. He had some offers from decent schools that you would expect. I think Missouri was a school, Oklahoma State was a school, Arkansas was a school. So it's not like he's kind of a bottom feeder. So he's a kid that's really kind of blossomed through the summer here, and the other one is a local product. His name is Robert Spears Jennings. He's from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, who's in the Tulsa area here, Oklahoma, for people out of the state that might not necessarily know about that high school. One of the biggest high schools, maybe the biggest high school in the state of Oklahoma. So he's another 3-star guy, very much the same way, 6'1", 6'2", 190. He played both sides of the ball. Probably will play defensive back for Oklahoma. So it's a fit, I think, that Oklahoma defensively is looking for in terms of their defensive backs. And most recently, the guy that Oklahoma got on July 7th was Jake Taylor. He's a guy out of Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman, which is ended up being a bit of a pipeline for Oklahoma. DeMarco Murray came from there, and certainly, obviously, he's on the coaching staff now, so that absolutely doesn't hurt. He's the 26th overall ranked offensive tackle in the country, 4-star guy. Oklahoma beat out Notre Dame and Alabama actually for him. So having winning those battles against those types of teams, specifically at that offensive line position, is really good. Obviously, really good for the Sooners. So I think Oklahoma had went from 9th or 10th in the rankings all the way up to number 5. So Oklahoma's number 5 in the 2022 ranking. Certainly has a ways to go, but was really a big, really 4th of July week that was really big from a recruiting perspective for the Sooners.
Yeah, there's certainly a balanced approach you can take to looking at these rankings because that's the first thing I look at, and understandably so. If Jason tells me, hey, we got a couple commits this week, I'll go look. And I'll immediately go to where were they ranked at their position in their state overall. Yep. That's a baseline. Some people get a little bit hung up on that a little bit too much, and they get alarmed when they feel as though their program is a top 5 program, for example, Oklahoma, and they're signing the 57th best, supposedly, that's a rating, that's a ranking, it's a projection, 57th best cornerback in the country. And certainly if Oklahoma at the end of this recruiting cycle in December signs the 32nd class in the country, then there's going to be cause for alarm. That's going to mean something. But if they're 3, if they're 7, if they're whatever, within range of that playoff range of the top 4 to 5 in the country, then I think you can trust the coaching staff in Lincoln Riley that they're doing their jobs. And when they go get somebody at the 3-star variety, that it's more about them seeing something in that athlete that maybe some other big time schools don't see, or it's a fit for them that it may not be for some other schools. And again, trust them. And there are more 3 stars. I think unfortunately, we've become so wrapped up in 5 stars and 4 stars that 3 stars are discredited. And that's such a range of players. There's typically about 35 to 45 stars. And then I know that 247 Sports publishes their top 300. You can go to their top 300 list. For ESPN, it's top 300. For Rivals, it's a 250 list. Well, you're still at the 4-star level going off of that list. And beyond that list, there's like 400 to 450, something in that range, 4-star players. So it's a range of about 400 players, from about 40 in the nation to 450, let's say. And then that 3-star range is all over the place. Yeah. You can sign tons of 3 stars that aren't going to see the field, but then you can get some 3 stars that either were a bit evaluated, or more so are just high 3-star players. And I think people would be surprised to go down the elite teams rosters in the nation and see how many 3 stars they have on the roster. The roster's built with a lot of 3 stars filling meaningful roles on the team, if not becoming starters and star players. It's not infrequent.
Oh, definitely not. And as you know, some of these summer camps and things like that, some of these kids can shoot up or even shoot down based on those performances or where they go. So it's very subjective. And to your point, there's you've got to have balance. Everybody's not going to get 20 to 25 4-star and 5 stars every year.